And we are live. Welcome back to the Wanna Parlay podcast. I'm Lance Bell. Next to me is Jack Neuheisel. And Jack, go ahead and tell the folks about the great people Wanna Parlay.
You are here at the Wanna Parlay podcast. This is the November 25th Monday show. The show is brought to you, obviously, by the good folks of Wanna Parlay, home of the $2 parlay and the world's richest parlay, where every week people are walking in, turning $2 investment into $2,000 and going out the other door. Another one a week in the books, Lance, and another smashing success for several folks this weekend. And we are here to celebrate them today. That's what the Monday show's about. Special shout outs to hand out today. One Man Raider. He was not the main event winner, but this guy had himself a couple days this weekend. Cleans up $500 on the pick 7. This man is starting to make quite the habit out of this. My man David Smearling starting to rack up quite the impressive profile, Lance. Officially joins the 5K circle, a special hallowed ground around here. So big congrats, brother. One Man Raider taking home the pick 7. The pick 6. Who else, Lance? One Man Raider, you son of a bitch. Stay hot. There's another 400. Worth mentioning, Long Legs as well, picks up 250 for their second place finish. Would have only paid him 157, by the way, Long Legs, had he placed that bet anywhere else. So congrats to Long Legs. Love the profile name. Love you showing up on the leaderboard and want to see more of you. The pick 5, he had some time, but it was about time that he was going to show up. It was a matter of time, Lance. Steel Curtain back in the chat. Shows up twice on the leaderboard there in the pick 5, both first and third. He goes home with a combined $450. And who came in second in the pick 5? Who else? One Man Raider. Just keeps making money. That's $250 extra to One Man Raider. That takes him over 1,000 on yesterday. On Sunday alone, made over $1,000. Good to be good right there, One Man Raider. C. Folsky in the pick 4. He shows back up in the winning circle, nets himself $350 on the pick 4. Showed up all over that leaderboard. And then worth mentioning, Lance, our boy Kevin, Chicago KG, came in second in the pick 4. This weekend, 200 to add to that Little Joe's tip jar. So way to go, Kev. We're stoked on the toy drive. Hope everything's cruising over there in Chicago. And then, so basically, Lance, big congratulations to all of our winners. But as always, they call it the main event for a reason. There's one winner that stands above the rest every week. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Snyder Normal, a.k.a. Snipe King. My man throws down an 8-leg all-NFL parlay to come in and steal the prize money on Sunday afternoon. He also messed around on Saturday, Lance, and hit an 8-leg college football parlay, which is good enough for third. That wins you about $2,400 around here. This action would have only won him $233 had he placed it anywhere else. So not only, Lance, is the guy smart enough to go 16 for 16 this weekend, he's also smart enough to get that action over at Wanna Parlay's main event, the richest parlay game in the world. So way to go, Snipe King. Proud of you, big dog. Loving everything you're doing. And then a last reminder here before we get on with the show. It is the final week, people, to participate in the most recent Wanna VIP contest. This is going to close December 1st at the end of this week. It's the best thing Wanna Parlay or anyone else in the market, for that matter, is offering. Contest costs you $2 to enter, and winner will receive 2 all-expenses-paid tickets to the Wanna Parlay suite in Arrowhead to watch Justin Herbert and the Chargers travel to Kansas City to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs this December 8th. This is going to be the second time we've handed out a prize, or excuse me, the third time we've handed out a prize like this. We sent our boy Anki Man to Brazil earlier this year to roll with the Wanna Boys and have a blast there in Sao Paulo watching the Eagles and Packers take on. And then we also just had our boy, who is it, Lance? It's our boy from Oklahoma, from Stillwater. Our boy in the
isn't his name also Kevin? Kevin Turner?
Is it Kevin Turner? Kevin Turner, our boy Kevin Turner, over there in the Wanna Suite last time to catch Monday Night Football between the Bucs and the Chiefs. So big time action. Everybody swears by it. I promise you, it's worth well over $2,000. It's far and away the coolest thing you can win around here. Currently, Dial Picks remains in first. We keep bringing up his name for a reason, but I promise you, everybody, that 49.57 lead net right now is not going to be what wins it. It will not hold on. I would be shocked if it makes it even another couple days. So still very much anyone's game. Why shouldn't it be you? Go over to Wanna Parlay right now or at the conclusion of our show and throw yourself $2 at the opportunity of a lifetime. Why the heck would you not? Lance, we got a great show today, but we got to spend a little bit more time celebrating our boy Snipe King. I've sent the link to the show. We had some correspondence. I like to think he's dodging my text because he's just outside of cell reception right now. He's currently celebrating this win in the Bahamas, and he left that cell phone at home, just taking this week off work. So I like to think that's what happened, but maybe he jumps on in this middle of the show and we can press him on some of these things, because it was a beautiful 8 leg all NFL parlay. I mean, really, Lance, just one spot of sweat right here, and even that, I mean, it was in control for most of the time.
Yeah, no, this parlay was damn good. I keep failing at going in the mornings. I gotta wake up earlier, Jack. I gotta wake up earlier and see what these plays are so I can just tail them. Because why not? I'll tie with them. I'll tie with them and win some money. These guys are just raking in cash with just banger parlays. Yeah,
It's
there
one of the,
you go on.
it's it's one of the great beauties of one parlay is being able to jump on these profiles because guys get hot. I mean, we just talked about one man Raider. My man won 5 separate competitions this weekend. My man Snipe King went 16 for 16. Like all of a sudden, you can feel the tremor in the force, and you can see these guys start getting hot. When you get cold, and it happens to the best of us, certainly we know something or two about going cold around here,
Yeah.
Lance. It's just go outsource these picks and don't do it to Chat GBT. Get on the guy that's going 16 for 16 and tail it. So we go through these bad boys. It's nice. I'm going to give you a little hard time as we go through it, Lance, because you're on the wrong side of some of these bad boys. I take it at the top. Panthers plus 10.5 versus the Chiefs. Yikes, pal. Yikes. We just spent all week talking about 2 of these double-digit spreads, and both of them don't cover for you. Bryce Young looks like he bought himself another season. Panthers are going to have to roll with him for another year. And the Chiefs do Chiefs things. They win ugly. Chiefs win 30-27 on a last-second field goal. But this Panthers team was covering this number the entire game. No sweat at all for our boy Snipe King here. And then Broncos money line versus Raiders. Maybe a little sweat in that first quarter. Kind of a slow start for the Broncos, but ultimately by halftime, this game was over. Broncos have looked good. They've been actually, especially with these middling teams that are kind of hit or miss every week, they've been one of the more consistent, predictable teams on the board. So let's keep Broncos in mind as we go forward. But way to go, Snipe King, picking up the Broncos, adding them to an easy parlay here. And then I'm going to save his one sweaty pick here till the end. But he goes, DeAndre Swift under 52.5 yards rushing. I wouldn't have had the balls to pull that trigger. That to me is a super achievable number.
Never.
I got to do a better job of finding unders in the prop game because boy, do I love to lose over bets in the prop game. But DeAndre Swift, Lance, only 30 yards rushing on 13 carries, like a 2.3 yard average. Shit day from DeAndre Swift carrying the rock. And my man saw it coming from a mile away. Covers that one easy. Lions money line versus the Colts. Another one we're on a bad side of right there. I would have had issues with this. This felt like trap game for the Lions all day. Felt like an easy one. The public was riding Lions. We were bucking it and going Colts. And again, this is why you got to be up earlier on Sundays, tailing some of this because my man saw it and he had it right. Lions money line. Sticking in that game, by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown. He scored their first TD of the day. Had it early in the second quarter, ends up having 2. Easy cover right there. Nico Collins, anytime touchdown, also hits in the second quarter. Piece of cake, easy. Johnny Smith over 37.5 receiving yards. Crazy to think that's how small that number was. Crazy to think I know I'm hearing about this Monday that this was an available line. But this guy had 87 yards. He covered this number by the end of their second drive. He had like 7 catches, 40 yards early in the second quarter. This thing was so easy. It was crazy. And then there's one little sweat of the day. He had Vikings money line versus the Bears. This game gets a little hairy for him at the end. The Bears score 11 in the final 22 seconds to force overtime. And then they win the toss. So an otherwise perfect parlay put down by this guy was about to get just absolutely screwed by a heads or tails call. They ended up on the wrong side of it. Thankfully, a 2nd and 9 sack pushes the Bears back. Then a delay of game, and the Bears are going to Bears. And the Vikings get the ball back, cruise down, last field goal with a little time remaining. And my man cruises to an easy $2,000 after already having $400 in the bank from his Saturday. That's $2,400 for my man Snipe King. People, that should be you. That should be you. Good news, the main event is open right now, and that can be you. Wide open right now, open for the taking. It's you got to go hit a 7-legger, and it's $2 to give yourself a try. I'd spend 20 efforts there. Quick little $40 spend. I guarantee a $40 spend, you make money. Just throwing it out there. We had 23 people get paid this week on the main event. We're ready to pay out 85 of you fuckers. I mean, what are we doing out there? Community, get yourself going, get some picks out there, start winning some money.
No, 100%. I do, Jack. I'm stuck in this little curse I got going on. I'm like always 2 legs short. It doesn't matter how many legs I place, but I get about just 2 legs short in my player prop parlays so far on Wanna. It's been sad. It's been just, it feels like there's a spell against me that I just can't get it right.
Well, that's the pain of the parlay betting is you do all the right things, you set up a good slate. And then for me, for example, I had a perfect college football slate get absolutely ruined by some bullshit there at the end of the Ohio State Indiana game. And
Yeah.
all that good work for nothing, even though it was genius and it was right, you get
It's,
screwed.
it's just
It's
brutal.
But that's why parlays, if you're going to play them here at Wanna Parlay because the payouts are ridiculous. We went through that entire leaderboard. Everyone's making way more than they would anywhere else. So you go and you make the spend, you're going to make more than you should, and then you're going to end up walking out of here with some money.
And
But now
it never puts you in that painful hole. That's
we've
that's the biggest.
go ahead.
That's my most favorite part about Wanna is it just doesn't put you in that huge hole where you're down a couple paychecks because you're just a degenerate and let it get carried away. You can't get carried away on Wanna. It's $2. It's $2 parlays, folks.
If you went a historic 0 for 50 weekend, just a historic, like borderline impossible effort 0 for 50, you'd still just lose $100.
Yep.
It's not going to change your life. You're still making rent at the end of the month. You're not going to that spot where all of a sudden you're really starting to look for a lock and putting $1,500 out on the fucking Rams last night and things get really hairy really fast. Not speaking from personal experience. We did okay in college football. I hung in there.
There you go. There you go. You did do good. Yeah, I think it's accountability hour. I think I go first because mine was more pathetic. Mine was more miserable. So I'm going to just throw mine in here. Chat, I'm sorry. It was sad. It was pathetic. It's the tough part of betting, making your picks during the week for the weekend, because some shit just changes and there's not much you can do. But my first one, Chiefs minus 10.5. My biggest takeaway from the game, I'm just proud of Bryce Young. I'm like stoked for him. But you know, he hung in there, battled, and he converted the 2-point conversion at the end of the game. I thought there was no way he converts it. I thought that's how they were going to lose the classic way. But it ended up being a game-winning drive from Mahomes, which is even more classic. But so shout out Bryce Young. Good for you. I hope you have more success. 49ers +3. This obviously changed to +6, maybe even +6.5 after Brock Purdy was announced out. If this was the case, if I knew Purdy was out, I either would have stayed away or went Packers. I probably, knowing me, I would have just stayed away. But yeah, tough, just tough.
Commanders, I appreciate you wearing it.
Yeah,
shows great. It shows some real stuff out of you. Some guts with a capital G. I'm proud of this. Keep going. You're doing great.
So Commanders versus Cowboys minus 10.5. Dude, the sad part about this one was that I had Lions minus 7.5 lined up, and I asked you, and I'm like, the double-digit spread, like, do we ride? And we fully both agreed to ride the double-digit spread, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. I mean, it's one of those divisional games. The Cowboys were amped up. They just want to get a win on the board because everyone's just talking the world against them. And the Commanders, I mean, I think they've lost 4 straight. Daniels might be on fraud watch. This whole organization might be on fraud watch. I'm a little worried. They really came out when there was no film on their team. They did great. They did wonders. Started out 7-2. Now they're looking at 7-5. Jack, I think it might be a short-lived. I think, and this will lead into my next pick, by the way, or that one of my winners. Broncos minus 6 at Raiders. Bo Nix, Rookie of the Year. Book it. That is the Rookie of the Year. He's playing unbelievable football. Yeah, he had a rough September, but my God, his October and November look beautiful. So Bo Nix, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Daniels might be on fraud watch. And then my last but not least, the only one I was actually right, like kind of just was right, was Seahawks -1 versus Cardinals. I just said take the home team in the divisional. I think that's the play. It was the play. I was so happy. I wasn't that happy because I was watching those morning slates and that was just pathetic and miserable. But hey, we were on the winning circle for a little bit. So there was my 5, 2 and 3, not great. But
you know what though, not terrible. I mean, like I actually talked you into the Commanders bet. We were a week late on that trend line. We were coming off the double-digit spread crushing the week before. We saw the stats on that. We went, we hammered it, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. That's
Hey,
the way
and
she
you
burns.
want to hear something, Jack? I'm pretty sure the method did super successful on Sunday.
That's terrific.
The dogs in the morning and the favorites in the afternoon actually like literally crushed. Like I think it was great. So
Well, Commanders, I'm not going to feel. I mean, 41 points got scored in that fourth quarter. It was a ridiculous freak
yeah,
show of a game.
I can't believe the
Niners,
kicker misses. Keep going, keep going.
Niners, you have to just take the bath on it. Obviously, with the injuries, we would never have been near that game. Honestly, it would have been a complete stay away. Weird one. So what can you do about that one? And then Broncos, Seahawks, you were spot on. Both are easy covers. Both good wins. Seahawks especially. I did a big old chasing your morning picks right there because I believed in them short of the 49ers one. Put together a little parlay, lost, was feeling like a loser, even though we had a great Saturday. Slingshotted it on the Seahawks just to feel like a big winner. Got me right. Stayed away from that Rams game last night. So we had a good weekend. I feel good about this. And then obviously Saturday, it should have been better, but you got to feel good about what we walked out with. I felt like we doubled down too. We expressed the right confidence on the right picks. SMU minus 10 at Virginia. We had this game dialed up. We knew they'd be up in the first quarter. I won a little bit money on a first quarter, first half cover as well. Ponies were up 17-0 in that game. Won the third quarter, basically just a top to bottom ass kicking, and we saw it coming from a mile away. Congratulations to the Ponies going to Charlotte 2 weeks from now to play in the ACC Championship. I will be there, Lance. It's good to be good. And then the game that looked so good for so long, the under 52.5, Ohio State versus Indiana. Yes, we get the opening touchdown from Indiana, but then Indiana proceeded to have like 25 more yards the rest of the game. This game went basically exactly as we thought it would go, except for right there at the end. Indiana scores, gets their 2-point conversion, fails to get an onside kick. Travion Henderson runs the ball down to the 1 yard line, slides because he cares about me. And then Ryan Day just goes, oh no, fuck everybody. Fuck that kid that really knew how this game was going to go and decides to score anyway. And then they kick the extra point for this game to hit 53 on the number and really break a lot of hearts. This sucks. This sucks.
It's just sickening.
I tell so many people, because this was obviously the game day game. This was the high intrigue game of the day, Lance. And everybody was trying to debate, massive spread. Do you get on the Indiana side here? This now is just like, don't overcomplicate it. It's Big Ten game in November. It's playing an early morning game, under ball all fucking day. And it was. And it was until it actually went triple zeros. And it wasn't at all. And Jack's a big loser. Rutgers -1 versus Illinois, another game that really looked good all day. Had the lead going into the fourth, had their chances. Ultimately, it's tough being on the wrong side of the better quarterback. And Illinois, Altmaier is just so much better than everything they got going there in Jersey for Rutgers. And yeah, a little greedy on the pick. A little bit trust in Vegas too much. Illinois ends up winning by a touchdown. We lose that one. Boston College was easy. We doubled down on this one too. I begged everyone to get on this pick and hammer it. I thought this one was obvious. We said take Boston College on the money line. They boat raced North Carolina. Good for everybody over there at Boston College. Pump for the kid Grayson, the quarterback who replaced Thomas Castellanos midseason. Dallas kid, played well in the second half against SMU. Goes out, looks great last week. Boston College, early favorite on the Monday lines, playing Pitt this weekend. Pitt's dropped their last after starting this year 7-0, have lost 4 straight. So fascinating game to watch there as the ACC wraps up their season. And then Notre Dame -14 versus Army. God, I wanted to be wrong on this. I would have been so happy to be wrong on this. Wanted Army to make a great game of this, but we told everybody, guys, this is just so easy. This is a legitimate top 10 team, and as good as Army's been, it's just they're. You know, it's a cool stat on Army, Lance.
So
of 133 teams, they are dead last in passing yards in the country. Army is dead last, but on passing attempts, like yards per attempt, Army's first in the country. So they don't throw it much, but when they fucking slingshot it, they push that thing downfield, and that's just not going to work against a really good Notre Dame team. We called it the stat line to really pay attention to, which was going to be the story of the game. Could Army get into fourth and manageable, and how are they going to play on fourth down? Not only did Army play like shit on fourth down, they also turned the ball over several times. This was Notre Dame easy all fucking day. So way to go. And just because I feel like patting myself on the back, we finally got in our bag a little bit. You started clipping away at the NBA a little bit, and I've started really getting into college football. And it's a good time because we're going to hit bowl season here, and everyone's going to make a lot of money on the college football slate. People, if you give me my Friday night picks, We go 5-2 on the weekend. And if you give me that whole week of college football last week, we went 9-3. So let's stay hot here. Another big week coming up. We got Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night football. We got rivalry week. Get your hate on here for a lot of teams. And then we're going to have FCS playoffs coming up too. And we already know this, Lance. We cleaned up on the action last week.
That's right in your wheelhouse. That's right in your wheelhouse.
I'm the king of shitty football, baby. So let's go.
Dude, that stat about Army, I was still pretty hung up on that. That's absurd. That's insane.
Isn't that crazy? That's so fun.
I mean,
and Army's kind of in a fun little spot right now. So Army's got to win this week to end up in the ACC championship. Tulane with a big game against Memphis. The AAC. But then Army will play December 7th in the AAC championship, and then December 14th turn around and have to go play Navy in the Army-Navy game, which, by the way, that game will have 15 million people watch it. Trump will be in the building for it. That's going to be a hell of a game to watch. And then we'll get straight into college football playoffs, bowl games, FCS playoffs. It's all just getting good right now, Lanny. It's all just getting real, real good over there.
It's getting fantastic. I mean, those Army, Navy, both of them, tough sons of bitches having to play a conference championship and then face each other right after. I mean, those are why I was about to say pay them the big bucks. I've been in that place. They don't get that big of bucks. But that's why we love them. All right. So, Jack, talk to me about college football. There was a couple losses that I saw. What's the landscape? Who's the playoff? What are we looking at?
We're in a strange place. Let's go through the conferences. The simplest one to see right now, Big Ten. Big Ten's going to have Oregon's going to beat Washington this week. Ohio State's going to beat Michigan this week. There's your conference championship game. Depending on what happens in that game, I would bet that team is going to be your number 1 seed. And the loser of that game is going to be your number 5 seed. Okay. Then you've got Indiana. Indiana played plenty decent enough. And with the freak show that just happened in the SEC, they've stamped their ticket. And Penn State has also stamped their ticket. Barring any freak show thing happening, and Indiana plays Purdue this week, and Penn State plays somebody like Maryland, maybe. I think Maryland. So it should go as it looks in the Big Ten. They're getting 4 teams. They'll have the 1 seed, the 5 seed, the 6 or the 7, and then the 9 or the 10, something like that. There's the Big Ten.
Okay, so there's four out of the Big Ten.
Yes.
Okay.
Now is where, and then let's clean up. Boise State's going to be in, and it appears, barring any issues, that they're going to be the 4 seed as it gets now. Now that could still get wild. They're still going to have to play a UNLV or a San Ho or somebody, or Colorado State in the Mountain West Championship. If they got beat in that game, it would be very interesting to see how this whole thing reshifts, because Tulane then could come and backdoor this thing and end up being like the 12 seed and move that Big 12 champion up to the 4 seed and get that first round bye.
Wait, so why would Boise State be the 4 seed rather?
Boise State, as it's currently launched, is a top 10 team in the playoff. And so the top 4 teams that are conference champions are going to get that bye. So right now,
so it's not locked. Big, like the Big 12, like those.
No.
The
Just
king of the conference.
The top five conference champions all get into the playoff guaranteed, and the top 4 all get a bye guaranteed. So like Notre Dame can never get a bye.
I see.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the top 4 power conferences get the top 4 seeds.
Yeah.
Right now, Boise State outranks every Big 12 team, and there's not enough big-time games for any Big 12 team to come and go by them. So it feels like it'd be Boise State slotted there at 12. Or, excuse me, slotted there at 4.
Okay.
And then you bump the Big 12 team down. But we'll see, because maybe not. Maybe Iowa State goes and beats Kansas State this week, beats BYU in the championship, and they jump them. But that's what'll get interesting.
Okay.
And then Big 12, okay? Big 12's a roller coaster right now. You currently have 4 teams technically tied for the lead. You've got Arizona State's in the best place. BYU's right behind them. Iowa State 3rd, then Colorado, who's technically behind them with their overall record. They just picked up their 3rd loss. They need the most help to get into the conference championship.
Yeah, what does Boulder need to have success and sneak their way into the playoff?
ASU and BYU got it easy. They both control their own path. They win and they're in. ASU gets Arizona this week. BYU gets Houston. So both are going to be, right around 10-point favorites. Both look like they're in good shape. but ASU playing in a rivalry
Yeah,
game.
yeah. I was gonna say
It
that
all,
ASU U of A rivalry. I mean, anything can happen, man. Those
yeah,
degenerates both sides. I mean, it's chaos down there in Arizona.
that's a good one. So we'll get a great game there. So the next team up, should one of those teams lose, is Iowa State. Iowa State, if they get a loss from ASU or BYU, would be the team that represents them. And then if Iowa State loses, who's playing Kansas State, they've got the toughest matchup. And one of that ASU or BYU loses, then Colorado sneaks in the back door. So Colorado needs 2 of those 3 to lose to have a chance.
So Prime has a chance. There's still
I'm
life. I'm not saying it's a
now.
given, like it's a small percentage, but there's still life.
No, but if you're a conspiracy theorist, I'm telling you, the game they're dying for is Arizona State versus Colorado. So we'll see. I would bet BYU wins. So they're gonna need Arizona to pull up something freaky for them. But people who do the TV ratings are desperate for Prime and Shador and Travis Hunter to backdoor this thing. Keep eyes on all of that. Okay. Now you move to the ACC. Okay. SMU's officially booked their ticket to the conference championship.
No
They'll be playing
ponies!
Charlotte.
Sorry, I had to give you one.
Clemson, Miami controls their own destiny. Miami plays Syracuse this week. Syracuse, by the way, not a bad team. Kyle McCord leading the nation in passing right now. So an interesting little game right there. Miami gets beat by Syracuse. Clemson would already be in. Doesn't matter what they do against South Carolina. The conference records would put Clemson in. So Clemson's an interesting team. Okay. And the ACC, we're going to come right back to the ACC. Going to talk SEC, but the Clemson's in a very interesting spot, as is the ACC overall. Because now you got the SEC that was supposed to have 6 teams, Lance, lobbying for a chance to get in there. Now only has 3 that look like they're guaranteed a spot. And beyond that, there's really only one thing that can make this thing interesting, and that's Texas A&M beating Texas this weekend. If Texas A&M beats Texas this weekend, I think you get the rematch, and it would go to Texas A&M, Texas right back to back in the SEC championship. But I'm not positive to all the tiebreakers there, because Texas would still own it with their overall record, and then everyone would be tied on their conference record, 4-way tie between Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, and Texas A&M. Texas A&M would own the head-to-head against Texas. Add with Georgia, I don't quite know, but none of those 3 teams played. Tennessee obviously beat Georgia. Texas A&M and Tennessee didn't play. It all just gets a little bit hairy beyond there. So it'd be interesting to see. I got to go look at the tie-breaking rules. But let's say the SEC ends up with 3 teams, okay? This leaves the door open for another ACC team to go backdoor this thing. So if SMU beats Cal this week, have they done enough, regardless of what they do against a Miami or Clemson, to automatically be in? Or would Clemson, beating a hot South Carolina SEC team, by the way, beat an SEC team on the last week, if they don't even get to go to the conference champion, would their then record be better than SMU's resume? SMU would have the extra win, but Clemson would have the late win against an SEC team. So it all gets a little bit hairy. Now, the college football playoff lands has tried to double down on the fact that they're not going to penalize teams that get beat in their conference championship games. Because would it be interesting if A&M goes to the conference championship game but gets beat? Does Alabama then go by them? And is Alabama's resume better than an SMU who gets beat in the conference championship? Is Alabama, and across the board.
So I see.
It's all very open for debate. I think the most likely outcome is that if SMU beats Cal, they've done enough to be in. Now, I also think if there's a chance to fuck SMU, they're going to fuck them. So it's all just a little bit hairy right now. And honestly, enough games out there to make this all still very interesting. Texas A&M got and played this weekend. I mean, SMU Cal's not a foregone conclusion. Cal's not a bad team. SMU's clinched. They're in kind of a weird spot. Do they try to get healthy this weekend? I don't know. Clemson, South Carolina, very interesting game. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, very interesting game. Vandy goes and beats Tennessee. All of a sudden, holy shit! How many teams the SEC going to even get? It's all up for grabs right now, and it's in a great season because we've not had a bona fide great quarterback.
No,
these games, it's tough to go win 12 games when you don't have a guy at quarterback. Carson Beck's been underwhelming. Quinn Ewers has been underwhelming. Jackson Dart's been underwhelming. The only guy that's really lived up to the billing has been Dylan Gabriel, and he's even been underwhelming in a lot of starts. He's just been great at it. He's just been at his best in the biggest of games. Probably could say the same for Will Howard as well. You take away one fucking, mental gaffe he had in the last play against Oregon, it all gets a little bit interesting.
Yeah,
So,
that Oregon Ohio State, like Ohio State had, they get called for the offensive PI and then the whole blunder, but like they were right there. That was tough.
yeah. I mean, Indiana's got Ohio State on the ropes. They drop a punt. If Indiana doesn't drop a punt, that game goes into halftime at 7s. Who knows what that game is?
True.
All of a sudden, it goes 14-7, and Ohio State starts at the ball. It goes to 21-7 with 10 minutes left in the third. It's a completely different game.
True.
Even if you're down 14-7 right there, completely different ball game. And it ends up being a one-possession game. I mean, it's the onside kick at the end of the game, but that's the possession you lose. That's the touchdown you lose at the end of the half. Maybe you're driving to tie that game instead of driving to, get the chance at the onside.
So there is chaos brewing in college football. I mean, the fact that we have Arizona State on the verge of making the playoff is fucking bananas, Jack. Yeah, I'm going to cuss. I'm going to break all the rules. It's fucking bananas.
Lance, all things being equal, okay, Arizona State's about to win the Big 12. They were picked to finish last in the Big 12. SMU, in the first year moving up in weight class, coming from the American to the ACC, was picked to finish towards the bottom. Never has a team brand new to a conference gone in and won it, especially a team leveling up, not just moving a horizontal move. They're the first team to punch their ticket to the conference championship game. Indiana, first year under Kurt Cignetti, into the conference championship game. I mean, there's several things here that no one had on their bingo card coming into this season. And we've got these are going to be the highest rated college football games, most watched college football games in the history of the sport. It's going to be a fun 2 months coming up here. We've got, the playoffs will officially start, and those are going to be home games.
I was about to say, that was my next question. How does it, even farther, how does it work? What's the layout?
Well, the team we didn't mention, by the way, that's punched their ticket to the playoff, I even think if they got beat by USC, they'd still get in. Notre Dame's going to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
But so 1 through 4 get your buys, right? They won't play until the 31st and the 1st of January. They won't play till the new year. Those games, those first round games, those first 4 games where you get 5 through 12 basically all playing, those are hosted at home. So whoever the highest rated team is has the home field advantage to that game. So you're going to get Penn State's hosting a game. Notre Dame's going to host a game. Indiana's got a chance to be there hosting a game. Tennessee will host a game. So it'll all be just so cool, so fun. Indiana will probably get bumped. Indiana might have to go on the road and travel and go play like a Georgia, which is going to be crazy. And then the sites you're going to get. We got Fiesta Bowl go the 31st, the morning of New Year's Day. We'll get the Peach Bowl playing in Atlanta. Almost positive Georgia will be playing in that game too. It'll be awesome. We'll get the Rose Bowl happening that afternoon, and then close with the Sugar Bowl, where you'll probably get Texas playing somebody. I mean, it's just going to be so good. It's just going to be so good.
It's going to be damn good. So one thing I've been thinking, Jack, the first round bye teams, do they come out cold when they play? Do you think
No.
Do you think there's any advantage? Or I wouldn't say advantage, or maybe just like a slight. Do you think that plays a factor at all?
Let me say one team who looks like is greenlit to go win this national champion, who looks like they're just so perfectly set up right now to go do it. And that is the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia's going to get to host a playoff game so you got to go into Athens. You got to go into Sanford Drive and try to win that game. Good luck, whoever has to go play that fucking game.
True.
And then the next game, and I think it's not, 1 seed's guaranteed to the Rose Bowl, 2 seed their way. They're going to do their best to do it regionally. So my guess would be Oregon is going to be going to the Rose Bowl. It'll be interesting if Arizona State's sitting there at the 4 seed, they probably get the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Arizona State, Oregon, Rose Bowl. I was like, that's just chaos. But keep going. My bad. I interrupted.
Because Arizona State would be a bye team, so they might get Fiesta Bowl. And then you're looking across the board, who all gets sorted where. If SMU's one of these teams, where do they get bumped to? Do they end up having to go to Atlanta? And by the way, who are they going to have to play against? a Georgia team that just won who gets to go play in Atlanta again in the Peach Bowl. Okay. Then where's the national championship this year? Oh, it's back in Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz again. Same venue they play all these fucking games. It'll be the 4th game they've played at that stadium this year.
Georgia might have a fucking chance. Man.
This thing is tailor-made for Georgia to go steal this thing.
Damn. So Georgia really has... They have an opportunity to damn near play a home game all games.
You know I'm an SMU guy. I am begging for Iowa State to go win the Big 12 championship game and for SMU to get the Fiesta Bowl so that we don't end up on that freak show path with Georgia. Give me anybody else but Georgia in Atlanta. Georgia in Atlanta, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? Give me Oregon at the Rose Bowl well before I take Georgia in Atlanta. Fuck that.
I just don't. I don't see anyone that's more intimidating than that Georgia run you're talking about.
It's Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, or excuse me, Georgia, Texas, Oregon. To me, are the three.
And Ohio State. Ohio State's scary. You saw that. Remember, they barely lose to Oregon, and if they win that game, how much different is this whole college football narrative?
Here's my compromise. I will give you Ohio State, but they're 4th on that list. We can debate what the order is of those first 3 teams. But Ohio valid. State's 4th. They're 4th, but they're 4th on that list.
Yeah.
To me, Ohio State, they just lost their best offensive lineman, their starting center. Their defense is that good. But Will Howard can be got, and Oregon put up in the 30s against that defense anyway. If there's a team, like, I don't think anyone can beat an Oregon team if Dylan Gabriel is going to go play great. I think maybe Texas gives them their best chance, but Georgia showed you the roadmap where Texas can get got. You know, Texas was into that game. That was 107,000 screaming fans. It was all the intrigue.
Yeah, at home. And Georgia just
yeah. And Ole Miss and Tennessee and really Tennessee, because Tennessee was banged up going to that game, showed you the roadmap against Georgia. If you've got a D line that can get pressure on Carson Beck, that's a fallible Georgia team. So I think it's Oregon's number 1. I think Oregon's the favorite going into this thing. I think Georgia goes 2, and really in a rematch, give me Texas. I'd go Texas too.
I would think that too. I would agree. But that's my thing is, would you go Oregon over Ohio State too in round 2? That's tough, Jack. That's tough. Jason Day's no joke.
You know what, though? I do think that injury to the O-line is significant. I do think Oregon I think Oregon's defense versus Ohio State's offense is way more significant than vice versa. I think Oregon would have their chances on offense. I think Ohio State's going to have a tough day against Oregon's defense. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
They're legit.
I see that.
I mean, Dan Lanning, remember, got the head coaching job after being the defensive coordinator at Georgia. So when Dan Lanning goes to Oregon, the entire reason for the hire and the investment they've made in their NIL program, which is second to nobody, by the way, in Oregon with Phil Knight and back in that whole deal. The entire reason for the Dan Lanning hire is we're not going to go and get beat by a fucking SEC team again. We're not getting back to the playoff to go get because we're a Pac-12 team and we're going to continue on this narrative that, yeah, we're fast, but we get our ass kicked in the trenches every year. Oregon got beat by Cam Newton's Auburn team. You know, Oregon gets beat by Ohio State. Or Oregon's had their chances, and they've still yet to win a national championship. So this is the point, is to be able to go beat Georgia.
Man. Oregon Ducks got to be fired up, but I will say, Dan Lanning lost twice last year to Washington, so the guy knows how to lose big games. I will say that.
Boy,
so we'll see. If he doesn't have, remember, he's not going to have the home field advantage if they play again. You're not in Autzen, and they lose by a blunder, or they win, or I guess Oregon wins by the blunder.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Teams I don't fear, but I say this as the SMU team who's going to be punching up. Teams I don't fear are Notre Dame, Penn State. But I tell you, Ohio State doesn't want Penn State again.
No.
You know?
You're right.
Fucking Georgia doesn't want Notre Dame. These are problems. Notre Dame's defense against Georgia's offense. I mean, Notre Dame could easily piece that game off. Easy.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be, we're going to get a bunch of great games. Like the only games I'm not in love with, Arizona State and Boise State are the teams in there that you feel like might be that, fuck, they got beat by 46.
Yeah.
Those are the only two games in there. But if there's one team, and it's so funny, Lance, obviously we talk about it. I'm an SMU guy. I spent so many years saying how we were overlooked and we deserve better, and the American Conference is good. Tulane beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. Fuck you, we're good. And the second SMU is in a Power Four conference, I'm like, fuck every Group of Five team. They played nobody. They don't deserve it. Screw them. But I will say, if there's one team that does deserve it, it's Boise State, who's been there time and time again over the years and has never gotten their chance at it. You know, I go back, one of my favorite games of all time was that Boise State Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma, where they go the hook and ladder to get it to overtime. They go pitch pass on the 2-point conversion, and then on a fourth down to even get the to send it to the chance 2-point conversion. And then Ian Johnson on the Statue of Liberty to win the game. He proposes to his girlfriend on the corner of the stadium. Like, it's one of the great games. If there's one team, Jared Zabransky, Lance, remember that name. If there's one team that deserves a chance to go measure themselves, let's get it. Let's get Boise State gets a chance to swing. They get to go.
I like it. And GT's goddamn amazing. Dude, but so what's up? Talk to me about the Heisman, Jack. Hunter's minus 800. It looks like it's his. Why? Media? Is it media? Is it?
Well, it's media, and there's a fair amount of voting. You know, the West Coast schools, especially small West Coast schools, get screwed on the Heisman campaign. You know, Christian McCaffrey didn't win a Heisman. Andrew Luck didn't win a Heisman. Plenty of great Pac. Dennis Dixon didn't win a Heisman. Plenty of great Pac-12 players over the years were snubbed. So you got a small school kid playing a lot of game times that just frankly they don't get them on the East Coast. There's not a lot of Mountain West football getting watched over there on the East Coast. So he just loses out on a lot of votes. I will say, to me, the media conversation, it felt like a lock for Travis Hunter going into this week. And then he has a great week. But it was interesting. I do think Travis Hunter did not help his case this weekend. A lot of Heisman poses on the big plays. In a game they got boat raced by a 4-6 Kansas team.
Yeah.
I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I do think Genty, who goes 3 touchdowns, goes over 2,000 yards. And by the way, if you go look at the stats, he's like 8 touchdowns and 600 yards up on the next guy, and who are not the same guy, obviously.
Yeah.
And so it's been an unbelievable ride. I'd be comfy giving it to either guy. I'm not going to be bothered. The thing that had pissed me off is if we gave it to a quarterback just because we have no one else to give it to.
I'd be sad. I'd just be genuinely like if it just went to Gabriel.
Yeah, if it just went to Dylan Gabriel, if it just went to Shedeur Sanders, if it just went to Cam Ward,
that would suck. And I'm not taking any credit away from those guys, like, you know, great seasons. But like this year, I mean, personally, I'm like, this is the year of the running back, Gene T. Yeah. And I want Saquon Barkley MVP. I want that in the talks. I want that to be a real conversation.
I'll say this, in a season like this year, like, let's have a conversation about who's been so important to their team and then college football, like overachieving ASU. That's Scatterboo, baby. This conversation, that absolute psycho. Who wants to tackle that thing?
What a monster
conversation.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a couple guys. It's been a fun year for college football in that respect, and honestly, one of the more underwhelming quarterbacking seasons ever. Here would be my guys I invite to New York, Lance. Give me GT. Give me Travis Hunter. Give me Dylan Gabriel just to be there. And then give me homie from Army, Daly, quarterback from Army, who's had an unbelievable year running the ball, and Army's overachieved like a motherfucker. You remember that year we had Jordan Lynch from Northern Illinois get invited? It's fair to that kid. What a year. Let's celebrate that. Let's be excited about that and make him the 4th guy invited to New York.
There's 5 in New York, no? Or is it 4?
I always thought it was 4.
I always thought it was 5. Maybe.
Well, if it's 5,
I think they also do it differently. They would like there's some years there's more than others, but if they're
if it's 5, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders has been the best quarterback in college football this year. But don't split the vote with Travis Hunter. Give me a real vote between Travis Hunter and GT, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. So talking about it, so do you think Travis Hunter is the number 1 pick? This is my last question before we run through our picks real quick for Monday night.
The answer is no, and it's just because he's not going to be a two-way player in the NFL.
You don't think he will?
No, because I don't think he's going to play corner. I think he's going to play wide receiver, and he's not going to like moonlight and be like a nickel. I wouldn't think in the NFL. I would think like if you're going to do the Dion thing, you play corner, and we can put some packages together on offense. Offense is a little easier to go just put it in a package or two because it's basically you got to just go. It's the Taysom Hill conversation we had, where it's a unique trait that he does, but it's interesting. It's not. It's we're telling you where to go on offense.
Yeah.
There's not so many post snap reads to have a conversation with. You're playing nickel and trying to be a third down coverage corner in the NFL. Like that's a lot of extra shit to add on your plate. That's a lot of shit. I just don't see it happening. So if that's the case, and he's going to play wide receiver and probably do some kick returning and that sort of stuff for you, I think the highest he can go, right, is 4, which is where Maserati Marv went last year. Now, we're not going to have 3 quarterbacks go with the first 3 picks, but we got – I mean, I've not done my draft board yet, but
but why not?
Why are we not going to see 3 quarterbacks taken with the first 3 picks?
Well, is Shedeur a first – is he that high? Or like a Cam Ward?
Here's the thing. He's going to be drafted that high. If I were running a draft room, I wouldn't take a single quarterback in this draft class in the first round.
Hey, I agree with you.
Shedeur might even be good enough to be a first round quarterback. I just don't think he's good enough to be Deion Sanders' hype machine, and we got to bring that into the locker room and do all that.
Yeah,
I just don't need that.
I just feel like the NFL the NFL does a pretty good job of fucking humbling you pretty quick. Like Caleb Williams, he got humbled pretty quick.
Yeah, but
he had his the big wins, the defense, and then once he started losing, like he's taking a step back from painting his nails. I don't think they're painted anymore.
Yeah, I don't need it.
Yeah, I see. And I agree with you.
Like even let's say he's better than Caleb Williams' first year. He has a rookie of the year type season. I mean, you're already having contract renegotiations after year 2 then, and you're having that deal. Like it just feels like a fucking deal.
KG Little Joe's out of nowhere. Caleb Williams equals bust. KG, shout out to you, man. You gave us a goddamn lock in the Discord. He was out with Chicago Bulls players, and he's like, hammer the Grizzlies. Hammer the Grizzlies. I got these guys fucked up. And I was like, you know what, man? I'm going to blindly tell. And they covered easily that night. So thank you, KG Little Joes. You're an absolute legend. Shout out your toy drive. Shout out everything you do. He says, dude, I'm still hungover from that night.
I love it for you, KG. By the way, Lance, I got a hard out here in 10 minutes. So
yep.
You want to talk Monday picks?
Yep, I sure do. I'll go first. My Monday picks is just one parlay combined. Jack, I'm not taking anything individually or telling you like game line. Well, one of them's a money line, but no game lines, nothing like that. Here we go. Derrick Henry over 83.5 rushing yards. He's a monster, and that's all I got for that. As well, Derrick Henry anytime touchdown scorer. The guy's a monster. I'm gonna just stop fighting what's inevitable. Lad McConkey over 65.5 receiving yards. This guy's been turning it up. His route running is honestly fucking damn good, and he's just a good player. He's a good football player. Dicker and Tucker, both of them, both kickers, over 7.5 kicking points. I like that one. I think there's going to be field goals in this game, Jack. And then last but not least, because I needed a different game for Wanna Parlay, shout out Wanna, Nuggets money line. Against the Knicks.
I love me the Nuggets money line pick at the end right there. That's my one NBA play of the day. I absolutely love it. Your Derrick Henry stuff. Let me get into my stuff and tell you why that's a little crazy. You get into your
stuff, and I want to listen.
Yeah, but real quick, it has to be said. Lad McConkey running routes. It's just a thing of beauty. It's poetry in motion. The fucking guy. We talked about it with quarterbacks in a couple shows ago, but there's just a feel and a thing. It's uncoachable with wide receivers, and it's just an understanding of opening a guy's hips and getting just when you want to separate and the timing for it. And it's just fucking unconscious with this guy. I love watching him play.
KG Little Joe's McConkey. He says McConkey is a game time decision. Wow, he's a tough kid. I promise you, he's playing. He's a tough kid.
Game time decision on a Harbaugh roster. I think he's playing.
He's
I think
you
got to feel pretty good about that. So, Lance, I'm getting away here because I'm going a little bit with the public, but Baltimore -2.5 for me. John Harbaugh has owned this matchup since these two guys started coaching against each other. And I will say the Chargers have overachieved. So I do think that's what makes this line close and adds to the intrigue of this game. But I do think we're talking about a cream of the top Super Bowl contender versus a middle of the road, wild card team here. and I think it's going to be obvious here. It's going to be a little bit of a varsity JV game. If anything, I do like the under of 50.5 tonight because I just stylistically between these two coaching staffs and the way both these rosters are constructed, these are both guys that play with a 300-pound fullback regularly. These are both teams that play in 13 personnel more than anybody else in the league does. They want to run the ball against each other, and there's a little bit. If there's a macho thing to follow tonight, we're going to see some old school fuck you football. They're going to run the ball downhill at each other and try to out tough each other. It screams under to me all day, and then they're going to run the shit out of it, Lance. So I don't hate it on the over, but I will say if there's one conversation being had in the Chargers locker room this week, it's stopping Derrick Henry. It's the Lamar thing will come, but they're going to think they can get by on some coverage stuff and try to just create pressure and create problems. They're going to sell out to stop the run. And I think more so than anything, they're going to do it on the goal line. So give me Lamar Jackson rushing touchdown tonight and just a little keeper on his own read while they sell out for Derrick Henry. I still think Derrick Henry touchdown is a lock. It should be added to any time that guy's playing. He scores a touchdown every single time. But just add it to because for the extra juiced odds, not a ton of rushing touchdowns for Lamar this season. He's due. Lamar Jackson rushing touchdown tonight. Moving to NBA, I skipped the money line, Lance. I just took 3.5 versus the Knicks. Denver has officially gotten right. Just watched them boat race the Lakers the other night. Jamal Murray is back and healthy. Jokic back and healthy. They've figured the Russ rotation out a little bit. He's not hucking up 25 shots a game right now. He's comfy coming off the bench. Obviously, they're still waiting on Aaron Gordon, but me like Denver to start clipping off a little bit of a winning streak here. They're 9-7. This feels like a team that's going to be 20-10. So watch out. I like the Denver to get right tonight, -3.5. And then college hoops, you got to sneak this bet in right now, people, because the game's going to tip in 9 minutes. Michigan -10.5 versus Virginia Tech. We're talking about a top of the Big Ten team here versus a middle of the pack to bottom of the pack, Virginia Tech in the ACC. And the ACC has been getting banged up a little bit in their non-conference. Until Duke just beat Arizona, it's been a little bit of an early season plot line here for the college basketball season. Michigan's in their first season with Dusty May at FAU, who is one of the prized offseason signings. They're all super excited about that. So give me Michigan to roll. And then we went with the public in Baltimore. We're fading the shit out of them here, Lance. This is like a 90-10 split. People betting Virginia Tech. So if you can snag it, game tips in 8 minutes, go get on Michigan -10.5. And short of that, I like a lot. What do you got going? Ladd McConkey, I dig it. Nuggets were simpatico on. And the Derrick Henry over 83.5, keep eyes on it. Maybe he does it in one carry like he's been doing all season. But that one makes me just a little nervous.
I got a quick question for you. I know it's 8 minutes. I'll get this conversation out in 3. So you're saying how the Chargers have overperformed this year. Yeah. My question is, so the Chargers, and I know the wide receiver was glaring when it's like, what the hell who are you going to pass to when we were talking about the Chargers in preseason? But how many, the Chargers roster is pretty good. Like it's a good a full roster on both sides of the ball. And I feel like their biggest problem was coaching. Brandon Staley lost them countless games over the past 3 years. So that's where I'm questioning. I'm like, is it overachieving or is Jim Harbaugh actually just a fucking coach?
So it's two things here. They've underachieved in years past. Obviously, with Staley, they had coaching issues. They blew a 28-point lead against the Jags in the one playoff game they made under his tenure. So in a lot of ways, they've underachieved, and now they're just kind of returning to form. But this is a big-time Harbaugh effect here. He just beat his own record for biggest swing or points allowed on defense. The best team to do it for a first year or a coach first year to a new team was a record he set previously when he was with the 49ers.
Oh, shit.
So this is exactly what we saw him do with the 49ers in that first year, which resulted in them being winning that division narrowly. And then beating the Saints at home, Vernon Davis catching a late touchdown pass in that game. That's how I see the season going for them. I think they're going to be a wild card team. They're going to have to go on the road for the first playoff game. But I absolutely see them winning a playoff game. I think that's the slot they are. I just think you're talking top tier of the NFL. It's Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, and it's not close for me beyond that. And so, we'll see. The Ravens have played down to competition, but this to me feels Monday Night Football, Lamar Jackson, They came off the kind of the shitty loss against the Steelers. This feels like Ravens fucking all day here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm honestly, I would have guessed it would have been Ravens 3.5 rather than 2.5. I thought they would have thought it would be a possession outside of a field goal.
And to give Harbaugh more flowers and to say that this team is overachieving, they had issues coming into the year on offense. They did a great job with the draft. They invested in the O-line like Harbaugh always does. They get Joe Ald out of Notre Dame, who's been one of the best draft picks of the year. Looks like a bona fide potential Hall of Famer. But short of him, you lose Mike Williams, you lose Keenan Allen, you lose Austin Eckler. Like, this team was a little bit lost on the skill positions deal. You drafted Ladd McConkey, who had preseason injuries. You got
Dobbins, who's coming off an Achilles. Dobbins and Edwards, both from his brother. His brother had to tell him, like, these guys can play, but I just got Derrick Henry.
And schematically, they went to a completely different offense. They were under Kellen Moore, and they were more spread-based. And now, like, honest to God, they're carbon copies of the Ravens. It's the same deal. They converted a D lineman to play fullback for them, just like they do with Ricard in Baltimore. And this is the team you end up with.
Well, damn it, Jack. It's a hell of a show. I loved it. I loved every part of it. Go Ravens for you. I honestly might be on Chargers. I hate to say it. Well, just for the Instagram story, I might be on Chargers just because I'm going to stick to my side of taking dogs in prime time from now on.
All right.
But I wish success for you.
Look, I've not been the best NFL guy this year. It's no secret.
Hey, I haven't been shit. I've been getting rinsed and fucking ragdolled around by Vegas, fucking smash all over the place.
When we record the show tomorrow and I start talking my Tuesday night Maction, I'm just saying, you do not fucking fade me on Tuesday nights.
No. It's nothing about the fade. I just have to be consistent in my own head about being on the dog.
Okay.
It's what I have to do.
That was the show. That was the Wanna Parlay podcast. The show, of course, is brought to you by the good people of Wanna Parlay, home of the $2 parlay and the world's richest parlay, where every week people are turning $2 into $2,000. Just go ask the Snipe King, who walked out of the building with $2,400 this week. Just go ask One Man Raider, who's now in the 5K club here at the Wanna Parlay winning circle. Pretty special company over there. You're joining Steel Curtain, some special guys, dialed picks. Several special player shout outs we already did, but recovering them. Pick 7, pick 6, pick 5, One Man Raider cleans up $1,150 this week. David Smerling, way to go, pal. Congrats to Long Legs as well. Steel Curtain showed up twice on the leaderboard this week, went home with 450. C. Folsky was back on the winning circle, nets 350 on the pick 4. Kevin, we talked about our boy, Chicago KG, came in second in the pick 4, won himself $200. Speaking of Kevin, by the way, we talked about at the top of the show, but Little Joe's Toy Drive is still going on there. Jeez, a little bit of a tongue twister. Still going on there in the Chicago area. If you're in Illinois or Chicago, make sure to go down there and donate. Be a part of that. It's a special thing they got going on. And then congrats to all winners. We brought up the Snipe King, the big winner of the weekend. And then special reminder, this is the last week. We'll talk about it all week, but last week to get in on the Wanna VIP contest, it's going to close December 1st. Right now, the current lead is dialed picks at 49.57. I promise you that will not get you to Arrowhead. So still anybody's race. Get out there. Make sure you get your picks in before December 1st. That game will be December 8th. Very exciting stuff. So that was the show. Now, unfortunately, we got to leave you, but we'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock Pacific, having some fun.
Yep. All right, folks. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. See ya.